Hello everyone. Just letting folks get settled in here, and I have disabled the waiting room, so folks joining a little bit after the hour should be able to come right in and join the conversation. Great to see everyone. Session 4. We are at that point where we are at session 4, the final session of our summer living series here at the National American Indian Alaska Native ATTC. Still waiting for a few of our panelists to join us. I do have a couple panelists here with us now, but we'll keep our eyes peeled for anyone joining a little bit later. Great to see you, Mike. Thanks for dropping in. Appreciate you taking the time to be here. I see Sammy is here too. And Tawanda, great to have you with us. Yes, good to see everyone. Well, I hope everyone can see the full screen here with the title page on it. Somebody give me a thumbs up if you're seeing what you're supposed to be seeing. You guys see that? Okay, great. Wonderful. All right. And again, I want to just welcome everyone. Yes, Sammy, glad you're here as well. We have we've got some really great topics to review, and I'm hoping Jeff from Nome, Alaska, can drop in. He shared with me some pictures of some harpooning and some other summer late summer activities. So hopefully we'll see him join
at 1:30.
Maybe he's dropped in.
Yep, I'm in.
Yeah, Jeff.
I apologize.
No,
I had a Vietnam veteran call me, and I had to spend some time on the phone. So
I understand.
So I was talking to a Vietnam veteran.
Of course, completely understand. We're just glad to see you, and we're just getting ready to get things started here. So yeah, great. Want to welcome everyone officially. And as I said, I've disabled the waiting room. So if you have somebody that maybe you want to have them join us, feel free to share the link and you can come right in. Want to welcome everyone to Summer Living Series Session 4. Today, we're going to touch on things related to Native crafts, culture, and teachings. And sort of the title within the title, we talked yesterday as a group, and we talked about the change of colors. And I have a couple of Native words, one in Cherokee and one in Lakota, that reference sort of the change, the end of summer and moving into fall. So I'll let Kiave talk a little bit about that as he introduces himself and we get started with today's panel. Before we do that, just going to go over a couple of introductory slides, and then I'm going to take these slides down and I will turn the floor over to Kiave and Jeff to get this session started. And I think Kiave is going to open with a blessing as well before we get into today's session. So once again, great to see everyone. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where this broadcast may find you. My name is Steve Steiny. I'm one of the managers here at the National American Indian Alaska Native ATTC. And we've got, as you see the panel members listed there, we're hoping to have some of them additionally join us. I know Dave, I talked with Dave earlier. He has another commitment, and I'm not sure if Dr. Dan Foster can join us or not, but we'll see how this goes. Just great to see everyone. And let's go through a couple of introductory slides, and then we'll get started with today's session. I know you guys, most of you know this, but this event is brought to you by the National American Indian Alaska Native ATTC. We are made up of 10 regional centers, a National Hispanic and Latinx Center, as well as an ATTC Network Coordinating Office located at the University of Missouri. I'm broadcasting to you from the University of Iowa campus. I'm here at the College of Public Health on the 4th floor. That's where our center is located, and really happy to be with all of you today. This project is funded and supported by SAMHSA. The content, the discussions and topics we have today are really created by the panel and the presenters. So these opinions expressed or discussed today don't necessarily reflect the views or policies of SAMHSA, HHS, or the American Indian Alaska Native ATTC. I know we'll reach out to you all following today's event via email. We're not going to offer any slides or CEUs for today's event. I know Jeff shared a few pictures with me that I'll share when he's ready to do that. But I'll talk with the panel as well. If there is anything we cover today that you want more information about or would like to connect with one of the panelists, I can request to have them place their email or contact information in the chat box, and you can reach out to them directly, or you can reach out to me here at the center and I can put you in touch with them. We are going to reach out to you after the event and ask that you just complete a short survey. This survey will allow us to get some feedback from you. We really value your feedback. It's completely private and confidential. You don't have to finish or complete the survey, but we'd really enjoy hearing back from you. I'll post a link to that survey in the chat box as well towards the end of today's session. If you don't get a chance to fill it out then, as I said, we'll reach out to you in an email just thanking you for your attendance, and you can choose to fill out that survey at that time. So just consider that. We'd really love to hear back from you. We did add a couple of short answer questions to the survey so we can hear from you in your own words. I know we're gathered here virtually today, but before we get started, I wanted to take a few moments to acknowledge the land and pay respect to the indigenous nations whose homelands were forcibly taken and inhabited. Please take a moment to read through this land acknowledgement that was created by 3 former members of our team, Ella and Keely Driscoll and Mr. Sean Baer from the Meskwaki and Winnebago reservations, respectively. Thank you. Well, I'm going to take these slides down. I know here with us now, I have Marshall Bennett. I see Ray. Ray has come on. Piave is here. Trying to see, and of course Jeff. Jeff is also here from Alaska, and I see Shirley Holmberg is also joining us from Fairbanks, Alaska. And Jeff, I think, Jeff, are you in Nome right now, or I can't remember where you said you were, or maybe Anchorage?
Yes, I was traveling to Nome the last time, last month, earlier this month, and then from Nome, I spent the night in Anchorage, and then went to Fairbanks, and then came back down to Anchorage, and then spent the night, and went to Unalaska, and I just returned.
Yes, you've taken the full tour almost there. You've covered a lot of territory. Well, again, I want to just welcome everyone. If you're joining a little bit later, this is session 4 of our Summer Living series. Today, we are going to really take a look at crafts, culture, and teachings connected to summertime, and sort of wrapping summer up too, as some of you will hear from our panelists. This is sort of when summer starts to wind down, It doesn't mean things stop. In fact, I think Jeff will talk about some activities really starting to increase during this late summertime in the Alaska region. So really looking forward to listening today. I'm honored and privileged to have such a great panel here assembled. Just some knowledge and wisdom and good colleagues, and I consider them all friends as well. So I'm going to turn the floor over now to my colleague and friend, Mr. Kiave Bone, to get us started off in a good way and to introduce today's topic as well. So, Kiave?
Thank you, Steve. So, Shionagad Hayangel Winkosedi Ukotla Daudo. My name is Kiave Kosedzi Bone. I come from the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians, or here in Western North Carolina. I'm from the Deer Clan. Sorry, I have some gas from the Mountain Dew. But I am a member of the EBCI, which is the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians, as well as Lakota Sichungu, people of the Birth Pai, and Kanaka Maoli of Maui, which please, if you guys know of anyone or if you've been hearing about what's going on Maui, please send out prayers for those individuals who've been caught up in that fire. So before we go any further, I'm going to go ahead and offer a blessing today. It's in my language that I know best of Indigenous means. Oge doda, galaladi hehi, galang beoge says today the do ahi, to go yahin. We're gonna go here had near long he. Now ski as with a class like tea. Tagateri hot salt to the skid the geese, kishigwaskana, or yo, mehanigas nigo ha, hello he. To go we no, it lays Atlanticadi used. It lays it out, walk tia, you go hida, and mane no ski oh. So to introduce the topic for today, I've got some, I guess some people would call it esoteric, but for me, it's more like a guide. So when I think of summer and summer living, I am in the mode of preparation, always prepping, looking for what foods are available, mainly mushrooms. There's a vibrant amount of mushrooms just bustling in the woods. We get lots and lots of rain because we live in a temperate rainforest. And our diet, from what I was told, used to consist of about 80% mushrooms. So being able to go out into the woods and find food was something that we did quite a bit of, as well as agriculture itself. But I wanted to introduce some rather esoteric means of knowledge to you today. And it starts off with Stonecoat. Stonecoat was the brother of Spearfinger, which is considered an entity that come from a different world. As they would travel through our lands, they had peculiar things that they must eat to stay alive. Stonecoat would eat hunters or full-grown men, and Spearfinger would be eating the livers of children. They were both older looking. Stonecoat looked like he was made from solid stone, shiny, the gleaming one, and his sister was like an old woman with a shawl over top of her hand. And the reason why I choose to share these two entities with you guys today, the knowledge that they bring, is because right around fall time, or the beginning of fall time, are our new year, which is green corn, which is actually happening this week. And as soon as I get off of this call, I'm going to be taking my family up there to um, get together and commence with the festivities of our new year and the fresh green corn, or the first corn crop. But when they would come through our region, it would be around this time or around fall time. This is the time that our people would be going out and making many different fires so that they would laden the trees that had nuts in them with smoke, or heavy smoke, so that those nuts would drop from the trees and we could gather them up for enough winter food as a preservation to get us through the harsh winters. We did have winter greens like kale, some more hardier plants, but this is a time for preparation and enjoyment because there's so much food available to us. But as we are out and about, we need to be careful of those entities such as spearfinger and stonecoat. But as I'm speaking of this, and Steve, if you'll do me the favor of keeping time for me, because I don't want to get too far away from us. Okay. So stonecoat was first seen by a hunter when he was traveling through our lands and he was hunting. And stonecoat would go through and he'd seen this gleaming piece off in the distance, and he was watching it because it was shining and it was moving. And every once in a while it would stop. So the hunter would focus in his gaze, and he had seen that it was an old man made of rock, and he would have this cane that he walked with. And every once in a while he would put the cane up to his nose and waft it around in the air and point it towards the direction of the man and continue walking. And as he did, notice that he kept getting closer and closer. The hunter had crossed this great river and was waiting for that, man to come to the river to see what he would do. When the man gets to the river, he takes his stick that he's walking as his walking cane, puts it up to his nose, waves it about, and it points it right at the hunter. But as he puts it down and he looks at the river, he throws his cane in front of him, and a rock bridge forms over top of that water. And he walks across it. And this is when the hunter finds out that he's might be in trouble. So he goes to the nearest village that he comes to, and he starts talking with everyone to find the elders, because our elders are the ones that give us the stories of old and the understandings of a lifetime of past knowledge that they carry on with them. So when he found these elders and told him to put 7 menstruating women on his path and to get the warriors to go and dig a pit at the end where that 7th woman was. Well, as he's going through, he does this, and he waits with the warriors at the end. And each one of the women that see Stonecoat as he comes through, they try to help him. Oh, grandfather, let me help you. You look tired. Stonecoat says, don't touch me. I'm fine. Get away from me. He gets more and more irritated the more that he finds. He tells them, you are wicked, you are unclean. Don't touch me. But the more and more women he comes across on the path of the hunter, the more and more he starts to get sick. He starts to cough up blood. As he gets to the 7th one, he falls into the pit trying to get away from him. We load him with 7 sourwood spikes. We burn him for 7 days and 7 nights. And as we burn him, he gives us songs, stories, dances. And he tells us, the day that your people stop doing these practices, the day I will come back and I will feed on your people. for what you've done to me. And at the end of the 7 days and 7 nights of burning him, the 7 sourwood spikes, which is why this tree is no good for burning anymore, kind of tainted the tree and only use it for stems. It's got a hollow core, or we could push the core out very easily. That the only thing that was left other than those 7 sourwood spikes or trees was wadi, paint or pigment that we had used. And they said that anyone who was painted with that pigment would get whatever was desired for them. They would come to fruition for those people. So, as that story goes, we had learned these medicines, these songs, and these dances. And to this day, even if it's not practiced out in the open, it is by some. And the reason why is because if we stop, the danger of things that we don't know may come to us. And in the same breath, while I'm talking about Stonecoat, Spearfinger does the same, brushes the hair of the children. And as they fall asleep, she slips her all finger into their back and eats their liver. She had some very peculiar things to say, but she held her heart into her hand with the all finger. And because of this interaction, we know that the titmouse has a short tongue because it lied. It said, the heart, when one of our men tried to hit her in the heart, in the chest. It would still but break because her skin was like stone, fracture. Every spear, every arrowhead that was shot at her, launched at her. And because of this, this Cherokee man had gotten mad at the titmouse, took his tongue out, cut it short. And to this day, the titmouse still has a short tongue. But the chickadee, or tsikalele, in our language, means the truth teller. This one said the hand. And so, as it was that we would listen to the surroundings around us in our environment and gain the cues of these symbols, this Cherokee man had targeted her hand and hit her heart inside of her all finger hand. And this is what dealt the final blow to Spearfinger. That she had left us with the same understanding as that she is not wicked, not bad, but livers are just the thing that she eats. It gives her essence, it gives her life, ability to live within this world. So to not view things outside of our world for the things that we do and the pain that we feel, but having the understanding that preparation is part of everything, especially around this time, our new year, that we need to be understanding of having an abundant time of resource, food, and people, being comfortable, being able to go outside and not bundle up, not have to protect ourselves from the outside as much, but being aware of the gifts that are around us, and being able to utilize them so that we may continue to enjoy our lives together. And if we are not, that we shall be so graceful as to learn from our mistakes before it is our undoing. And with this, I will pass it off to Jeff, if you will. And I can comment a little bit more on these or other things if you would like, but I do want to be earnest about our time and appreciative of our other members here, panel members. Thank you.
Yeah, storytelling is, is our our life. And we grew up hearing of stories and legends, and the best way at times to let someone else or a group of people understand the message we're trying to give. Sometimes we give stories, and to like a heads up in preparing on what you're going to be talking about. So that's a great story. It's it's great to hear something of your tradition and your people down there. So Steve, if you don't mind, I'm gonna start right up.
Sounds great, Jeff. And we want to encourage folks to use the chat box, or if you have a question for Jeff or any of the panelists, feel free to put something in the chat or unmute or use the hand raise feature. We want to get you guys involved in the conversation. So yes, Jeff, you have the floor. I have those pictures ready too. Just let me know when you want me to start showing.
Okay, I'll let you know. Was there anything for anything, any questions or anything that people want to chat about before we go on? From the story we just heard. Well, my name is Jeff Couchy. I'm from White Mountain. I'm a member of the White Mountain tribe here in Alaska. Ithatunga Parnamik, Nachaviramip Tunga. Anakat Kumkak, Imnalu Atatalu Ismukbeluk. And my mom is Evelyn and my dad is Mike. They are from White Mountain. And Inupiaq Stunkanglachto, I speak Inupiaq. Imnashu Yukstunkanglachto. Ithatung Ithafinga Apakpavo. And my wife speaks Yupik, and I just mentioned in Yupik my name is the old one, or the one with knowledge. So that's when I'm named. I have a name in Inupiaq, which is Baoyun, and in Yupik I have another name. It's a Bakpa. And so I got a Yupik name and an Inupiaq name. Well, I was reviewing my notes from the last series we had, and we had I had mentioned before that the summer months we will be preparing many things, in which we are gathering a lot of subsistence foods and herbs, and we are preparing for the fall session coming up. And we as you can imagine, up here in Alaska, we have our environment is very extreme, and we go through more extreme weather than the summer months, the warmer months. So the warmer months in summer is very short up here in Alaska. So to give you an example, I remember walking to school when school started, and right now. So usually mid-August, third week of August, the weather would change to where I'd walk to school where the ponds, the puddles are frozen. There's frost on the ground. So the weather is going to be changing pretty quick. But nowadays it's a little bit warmer this time of year. A sign of summer ending is school starting. The school did start in many areas of Alaska. So we had prepared, as mentioned before, we are always getting ready for the next season. So I talked earlier about preparing like a harpoon, and if we gathered the right wood for a harpoon, it should be complete by now. And if Steve can post those pictures up, there's some examples of a harpoon. that will be used right about now and throughout this fall before freeze up. So there's a couple of good pictures of harpoon. This picture here is a harpoon made, and it was prepared the summer before. And people are gathering seals right now, and we will gather seals throughout this fall to just before freeze up. So my friend here, he was prepared in case the seal did pop up. And there's two ways of hunting the seals in a boat like that. The first uh, the first option is to, when you do see the seal, use the harpoon. And another way is to use a weapon, and usually I use a 22 mag. Some use 22 Magnum. So as you see here, my friend, he was prepared to toss the harpoon at the seal in case he came up by us. As you see, there's two other boats. What is not shown there is two more boats behind me. And so, as you can tell that, it's a substantial diet in the village. And the reason why is because the seal offers seal oil, dried seal meat, boiled seal meat, and also the skin is used, for either hats or gloves or even a vest and mukluks. So mukluk is a seal made, skin seal made boot, and I'll answer that question on the next one if you can, Steve. Okay, and as you see there, I am the one in the red, and we did use a harpoon. And once we use the harpoon, that minimizes the seal to get away, and so we're able to gather the seal. And as you see, my hands were inside where I started to cut the seal up because my fingers were cold that time, and I wanted to warm up my fingers. And so usually right about now it's pretty warm here in Alaska, so it'd be in the 60s and 40s at night. And so during the fall we get about 40s and lower 50s. And then as fall comes in, then that's when the temperature starts going down. On the left is my nephew, and then on the right is my other nephew. And then we had a visitor who was a teacher, and he wanted to be part of that trip that day. So there's how we use that is, if you can show the other pictures of the harpoon. There is the harpoon tip right there. Excuse me. What you can barely see is the harpoon tip right at the edge of the nail I used. And there's the airplane cable that I used attached to the harpoon tip and run through with rope and twine, and to make sure that the harpoon tip does not get away. And then as you see on the other picture there, Steve, as you see that it's about 4 feet long, 3.5 feet long. And what I did there was I used electrical tape to make sure that the rope does not fly around upon it being tossed. I did put a sturdy front to where the harpoon will last a longer time. And I brushed up the front with a liquid nail, and then in the back I used liquid nail and some sand in that brass right there, that copper tubing. And if you can show the back. On the back, well, you know, I did not have it colored. As you see, it's a bright orange, and I I used the harpoon and realized that I can barely see where my harpoon was. So my first use of the harpoon, I barely saw the harpoon, so I decided, well, I'm going to go ahead and color it to make sure I can see it no matter where I'm at, and it makes it much easier to see. And so this does float, and so um, then I'm able to grab the harpoon, and we are able to gather the seal. So this is, I noted last time we had the series is that we were looking for a particular piece of tree to be used to make the harpoon. The best the best tree that can be used for the harpoon is the tree that's um, alongside the hill, or up towards the top of the hill to where the tree is swirled and made stronger from the wind. And so those are the preferred trees that we use, and it's spruce trees. And the reason why is because over time the harpoon can break, and um, with a swirled tree from the windy area is lasts a lot longer. Um, Ways to make harpoons, it depends on what part of Alaska you're from. What I did not provide was the smaller harpoons to where we would launch a good 75 yards away. This is thrown about no more than 40 yards or 30 yards. But if we need to, we do use smaller harpoons for a longer launch. And so the harpoons, I think the longest one I've seen was about 80 yards, maybe 90 yards, close to 100 yards. And that was launched pretty far. And um, th throwing the harpoon at a long range takes a lot of skill and a lot of practice. That's why this particular harpoon, to where it is used closer, um, we it takes less effort and less aiming, so to speak. So each part of the harpoon, when we're making it, first of all, we give thanks to the creator for allowing us to find the right tree, in the right area. And then we go through the process, and then before every time that we use the harpoon, we always dip the harpoon, whether it's a rainy day or not. We dip it in the river or the ocean before we use it at all times, and that is to give thanks to the harpoon, and give us comfort knowing that it'll be launched and accurately pointed and thrown in the right direction. Um, so, was there any questions about the harpoon so far? So the harpoon will be used just before freeze up, and then again after freeze up when it's during the winter months. Normally during March, April timeframe, we will use the harpoon again during the spring hunt. So preparing is, we're always getting ready for the next season, as I mentioned before, and this is a prime example of creating and making a harpoon for this time of year right now. And some of my relatives have already gathered seal, and also that harpoon can be used for beluga, in which is another staple diet for our people. So I do use that harpoon for beluga as well, not only seal. The smaller harpoon that I told you about is only used for seals, and it's too small for a beluga, as you can imagine. So we, you know, we're always wanting to make sure that we have the seal oil, that we have the dried seal meat, that we have seal meat put away in the freezer for the long winter months, and it could be 9 months that we have a long winter. And as you can imagine, summertime is really, really busy for us. Um, the festivities are going on. We had already gathered some berries, some cloudberries, salmon berries, some blueberries, and so we have some in the freezer now. And we're looking forward to gathering some black and red berries on the tundra. And those should be ready now. And if not, we'll be picking them soon. We've also gathered and prepared and put away salmon, dried salmon, and so the last years we had there some good pictures of us preparing the salmon, being dried and smoked. And now the last of the salmon to run through is the silver salmon, and silver salmon is what will be gathered and put away for as a whole salmon in the freezer, so we can um, have that as a staple diet during the winter. Also, I had mentioned before is that we were getting ready to gather some herbs and wild medicine, and we already did. I already did gather the herbs and wild medicine from the Fairbanks area, from the Nome area, and I've seen plenty in Unalaska, but I did not choose to get any more because we got what we need. The herbal medicine is used for several things. I mentioned that I gather stinkweed, um, and I use that for making lotion, and that does help out with the skin condition, and also we use the stinkweed for tea if we have a bad cold or a flu, and it does heal the chest area, and it's really good for the winter months when you have a bad cold or a flu. And we, other than gathering, we did say goodbye to the midnight sun, and as mentioned before, 24 hours of daylight is something to get used of if you have not grown up around it. And now we're getting down to the less and less daylight, and not only with us saying the goodbye to the midnight sun, there is festivals that had went on, and that is to recognize that we do have 24 hours of daylight, but also we're going into giving thanks to the gathering. So there's blueberry festivals going on, blackberry festival going on. So there's a statewide festival that is happening now, the Alaska State Fair. Um, we also will be saying goodbye to the colors of flowers and the green of the grass and the trees. And last night, some leaves had already fell in my backyard, so that's a sign of the end of summer. And 2 days ago, when I got back from Unalaska, one of the first questions my friend asked me is if I got my caribou. So right now, moose hunting is happening, and caribou gathering is happening as we speak. Moose hunting will continue through the end of September in a lot of places of Alaska. Some places they only have 2 weeks of moose hunting or gathering, and caribou will be gathered pretty much this fall and throughout the winter in some places of Alaska. So as you see, there is much gathering from the creator in which he provided us. And as you can imagine, the cost of gas and fuel is extremely high. In Alaska, it was $6 a gallon. And in other villages, it's $7 or $8 per gallon. And get a lot of places it's $60-$70 for a steak, like two steaks, in a small packet. So buying cow, buying pig, like bacon and sausages is extremely high. So um, it is all about preparing for the winter, the long winter months, and we 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 are at the end of camping, and but me, I like to camp, go out and camp on the weekend at 35 below. So I'm I can camp almost any time of the year. As for my children and my wife, they only prefer during the summer and fall. So it's it so this time of year is we give many thanks to the Creator in which He provided so much for us. Koya Chimaktunga, Koya Nakpak. And there's talking about revitalizing a gathering in my area, in which our ancestors used to gather in one part of the Seward Peninsula, the Nome area, and we would like to revitalize our gathering and in exchange food, exchange stories, and so it's the end of the summer and the end of the hard work is just coming around the corner.
Jeff, thank you so much. Gosh, I just feel like I'm taking an Alaskan history lesson here. This is wonderful. Trying to see if there were a couple of questions that came in. Just some comments.
So to add on to the question about how cold it is up there, in White Mountain, we'll get about 70, maybe 80 degrees if we're lucky, about 2 weeks out of the summer. And usually it stays around 50 and 60 degrees the majority of the summer. So 70-degree weather is pretty rare if we get it more than 2 weeks.
Yeah, I had noticed that the gentleman in the boat that had the harpoon ready, he was decked out in kind of full gear there. Is that more
Yes,
just
yes,
waterproofing, or is it for the temperature?
yes, or both. And so it'll be 48 degrees during at the village, but yet when you go out of the village, it's a little bit colder, and you got the wind and the rain involved, and so you gotta dress pretty good.
Hmm.
So to give an example, when we were moose hunting, so like the early moose gathering, they don't dress as warm, but mainly for the rain. But myself, I like to go in mid September, in which we got to use winter boots, winter gloves, winter mitts, winter hat. We got to put a snowsuit on, and that's the time I like to go out. So, and it does freeze. There'll be morning frost, and puddles will be frozen or freezing up during that time. I like to go.
Well, again, I want to thank Jeff and Gavi for getting the conversation going. We are approaching the top of our first hour. And at this time, wanted to open the floor up to some other panelists or other participants. If you have some comments or things that you're thinking about, your own experiences during summertime, crafts or teachings or things related to that.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, here I am. Thank you. I am Sammy Enos. I am an enrolled Yurok tribal member and a Karuk descendant, Northern California tribe. I'm coming to you from Nisenan land in Auburn, California. Yeah, I agree with Steve. It's like we learned so much regarding Alaska and the information. I was just last evening, we are staying up at my mother-in-law's house here in Auburn, and she was born and raised in Nevada City, California. She is Washoe and Nisenan Maidu. And she was just talking about how her and her cousins around the same age, they would just go out and they'd be walking everywhere, and anywhere they went, she's like, we didn't have to take a lunch. There was mushrooms, there was miner's lettuce, there was watercress, there was, blackberries and apples and orchards around that area in Nevada City. And she goes, we just go and pick, and then we would, mushrooms abundant this time of year. And so it's just nice to know that she, growing up in her 8 to 12 years, out having a good time and exploring with family and friends, and they knew what to eat, they knew what to gather, they knew, and then when she would talk about the dogs, their hunting dogs, and she said she had to walk a long ways from the bus from school, like 7, 8. And she goes, but those dogs always knew when I was coming and were there to greet her. And she said when she had the dogs there, she could take the trail, the cutoff. But if the dogs weren't there, she would have to stay on the road and go home. But yeah, it's so nice to know. And it was just the talking with her and the gathering and how it used to be, and not being able to find those out in the area. She took a trip up there with my sister-in-law a couple weeks ago, and she was explaining the res to me up there, and she said she wouldn't recognize it now. It's so overgrown down kind of a deep gully, and then so many houses. But she was lit up talking about her young time and finding things to eat, and watercress tastes different because growing by the water, but the smoke or exhaust from vehicles, and the miner's lettuce, she's like, it tastes so different than what it used to be when she was a little kid. But loved the stories, love listening to you guys. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day.
Hi, this is Martina. I'm in Kenai. Hi. So Jeff, first question, who are you married to?
Shirley Walters, the Walters family,
From where?
Mountain Village.
Okay. Because I'm asking because your big name is the same as my older brother's. He passed away a long time ago. So I was just curious.
Well,
This
hello, sister. In our tradition, if I'm named after somebody from your family, then I'm your brother, and you're my sister. So I'll be calling you sister.
Yeah. So here in Alaska, this is how we connect. Just FYI. Kuya na tang.
Nee, is bet so. Kuya nakva yukstum kang lchtiti.
Yeah. Um, first language tsaka ka.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. Kuya, nakalamjit ko ninilog eh. Thank you for your stories because it brings me back to my childhood. And I really appreciate that you remind us of what we need to do and what we need to get done. So, kuya na check na.
Yep. Yeah, dort een belach, dat die seit, nichtstun in Ubergstun show. So, dort een besogen. Yep, and I just mentioned that, that's how we are, and that's how, we are in Yupik and, Inupiaq. So, yeah, it's good it's good to speak Yupik. Yeah, Yuxtun Lik Shunga, to come White Mountain Mute, Inupiaqstun Kanglach to good. So, just a story behind, let you know that I did learn Yupik because my wife's people spoke Yupik, and I got tired of not understanding their language, so I forced myself to learn just by listening. And in White Mountain, we talk Inupiaq.
Another question, how are you related to Jason Yeoman?
My brother.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah. They call me their auntie.
Get to the Charlie.
Martina Georges, which used to be from Tuxtep Bay.
Oh, Janadam. Blackberry Festival.
Yep. Yeah, so that's always been my question every time I see your name.
Oh, yeah. Brother Kaka.
Oh,
Ikuga now. Tinupiaqstun itcha ikurin. So I just mentioned that my brother's Inupiaq name is Ikurin.
okay. Oh, Jason ka.
Yeah, Jason. Yeah.
Okay. Iguhin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Doon bisikin na ka.
Yeah. Good done, madam.
Yeah.
Now I want to learn Yupik so I can know what you're talking about, Jeff.
Well, I just said all right, cool. So, yeah.
I actually have, I just told him that his brother Jason, they live here. They're like family to me. And so a while back when the twins were very young, they came up to me and they were like, so you're my auntie, right? And I said, sure you are, I am. And so now I'm their auntie. And they like to tell other young adults that we're related. Oh, that's why. So you're my brother. No wonder they call me their auntie.
Yeah. So, just to let you know that we're given our names after somebody that may have just passed away or recently passed away. And so when I was born, my uncle had passed away, and so they named me after him, which is Baoyun. And believe it or not, his name was Abraham Lincoln. And so I was named after my wife's family, who had passed away years ago, and his name was Uppa or Uppuk or Bukpa. So my wife's language will either call me Up, well, they'll nickname me Up, like UP. So other times where we're given names is if I act like my uncle. So if I act like him, say things like him, then they'll name me after the relative that passed away.
So I was named after my mom's youngest sister who passed away. Um, her Yupik name is Ipoyuitmuk. And so I take after her too. She's very independent and very stubborn and likes to do things her way, and she only provided for herself. So I am a lot like her. There was something else I was going to say. I forgot about what you said.
But one thing you remind me of is in Inupiaq, like Yupik, we give our first catch away, and then there's like Yupik, there's a party that goes on in which we share our first catch, and the priority is the giving of the elders, and then the giving of the community. And so if we gather our first moose, our first caribou, our first seal, then my family will have a gathering and we'll have a feast, and we give real small gifts out, and we say, thank you for giving yourself up, and please come again. Uh, I was taught to say, "Qur'ana ta'ilutin, chali taikina." If we gather a moose or a caribou or a seal or walrus or beluga or any game, and that's pretty much saying, thank you for giving yourself up. Please come again.
Yeah, and I just remembered who you're named after. My grandpa, his name is Abraham Ginavek. And so, yeah, and Apak Daputu, the one who adopted my uncle, my mom's older brother, his name was also Abraham.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel fortunate to be named after somebody in Yupik named Abraham, and somebody in Inupiaq, my people, named Abraham. So I'm real fortunate. So this is a small example of how our people are, and it becomes like a real small world. You mentioned, Steve, and this is how names come up.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Martina and Jeff. It was like witnessing a small family reunification there. That was kind of beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that little bit of history and some of your language and family with us.
Yeah, it's a privilege, and yeah, thank you for this time.
Yes. I see, Jeff, I see Miriam has raised her hand. Miriam, did you want to unmute and comment?
Yes, my name is Miriam. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, my name is Miriam Buru. I'm from Africa, Kenya. I speak Swahili. I speak Kikuyu. I speak Kamba. So, and the beauty of all this is hearing the stories. I could, when Mr. Bourne was talking, I was not seeing him. My mind was in Africa. My mind was in the stories that my grandmother, I'm feeling teary right now. My grandmother was telling us of those days of how people used to preserve their food and store them. And although there's no winter in my country, we are on the equator, they were hunters and gatherers. And I feel privileged because I grew in the village, and we used to play in the bushes. And when the lady, I don't remember who, Martinez, was talking, I'm like, wow, that is my story too. When we were coming from school, we would go picking these beautiful, smelly, nice smelling roses and putting them around our heads, right? And eating the berries, wild berries. We used to go play in the fields. It used to be big fields. We go, and I don't think our parents even cared whether we ate, because we eat there, eat wild fruits, and we are all full. We knew what to eat. You know, this fruit is this is a good fruit. We knew all the kind of fruits to eat and which you cannot eat because it's poisonous. We knew that when you get hurt in the bushes, we knew this, you apply this and you're done. You don't even have to go home crying that you got the thorns picked on you. So what a small world. And I really appreciate, when I signed up for this, there was a question, are you a native? And I said, yes, I'm a native from my village, and I'm tribal because I am. I'm going to be there, and I'm going to speak because I represent, and I feel we are one. And you would be surprised how many cultural events I have attended. The Navajo, I've gone to their cultural events, and it's so lovely because the culture is the same as my culture. The beads, the kind of beads they do, the beadwork is the same. I'm so attracted to, like, oh my goodness, we are one people, one culture, and it's so beautiful. I'm really honored to be here, and whoever thought of this is just so beautiful. Thank you so much.
Miriam, thank you for speaking. And this is an idea that I've had for a while, that we are all indigenous to somewhere, and that we all have deep roots in who we are and who our ancestors are. And it pains me that some don't know and don't get to partake. But it's a gift to be able to be connected as we are. Thank you for sharing that.
I don't know if there are other panelists or other participants that want to comment or build on that. I think I see Shirley's coming on here.
Hey, Marshall has to get going pretty soon.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me at all? Yeah. I'm in my office at school. School started here yesterday, so I'm in my office right now, and nobody happens to be in here, and I have headphones on, so hopefully you guys can hear me. And it's really good listening to everybody talk and to realize I know we're connected by spirit. That's, that's just something I know, but it's really good to hear, you know, how we're so similar and how we're related, and to hear the two relatives talking in their language on this series. I live in Fairbanks, Alaska, and I traveled yesterday, 2 days ago. We went up to the Yukon River. We drove about 120-30 miles away, and I had never been to the Yukon River Bridge in years. And to drive up there, you go on like a paved road, and then you hit kind of dirt road. They call it the Hall Road. It goes all the way up to Prudhoe Bay, and the pipeline runs, you know, parallel to it. And I saw yellow leaves, and that kind of upset me. That means when you see yellow leaves, or yellow leaves falling, or things turning brown, it means that our summer is getting over with. We had real hot weather, and then we had we've like the last 4 days, I think we've had really cold weather. People have been picking berries, different kind of berries. Some of my relatives went to a memorial potlatch in Kaikouk. They're going by boat from the Yukon River Bridge all the way to Kaikouk. It's you go down the Yukon, and then you hit the Kaikouk, and you're there. And there's so much to talk about, so much to think about, and always with these I don't know what we call them, but they're these gatherings on Zoom. Always it makes my mind go to our culture and what we do in this area. And as a female participant in this, what females do, it was good to hear you talking about how you get your names. In my culture, the old way is we don't name our children. We don't even think of a name for them. We don't get to know what they are before they're born. And it has to do with something about, you know, we don't know if that child will be coming. So when a baby comes into the world, they get to have a name, we get to dress them, we get to clothe them. And their name is usually given by an elder or elders. And they tell us we become like the name that we're given. My name is Yindadlino. I was named after my grandpa George's mother, my great grandmother. And Yindadlino comes from, in Kaikon Way, there's a higher and a lower language. It comes from the higher language, and not too many people speak that higher language. Yindadlino was a woman that did everything good in our way, in our women's way, not our men's way, our women's way. So I was given that name by my Aunt Agnes Jimmy. She also encouraged my mother to name my daughter, and my son, of course, was given a name. And then my daughter asked for a name for her son after he was born from me. So I had to come up with his name. And I consulted elders, of course, because I do. And my mother and couple of other ladies got together and they asked me what I thought of having a grandchild. And I said, well, this grandchild, when I think of him, I start crying. And it's not sad tears, it's happy tears. I'm so blessed to be able to have a grandson. And they got together and they came up with 3 names, and I chose Sidzaya of Gus. Sidzaya of Gus in our language means he tickles my heart. And my grandson is now 17 years old and he still tickles my heart. He's a very loving, kind young man. When I first saw him, I got to hold him and give him his name, tell him his name, who his people are, and I sang one song into him. And when I sing that song, he stops and he listens, because that's a song that I sang into him when he was a baby, when I first saw him. Anyway, lots of traditions. Everybody has similar ways too. So, Anabasi, thank you very much for listening to me. I have some appointments, so I'm gonna leave. And I hope you have a great weekend and great lives. Anabasi.
Thank you, Shirley. I know Marshall was going to jump in there too. Marshall, before you get called back into the trenches there, maybe you want to share a little bit.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yes.
All right. How's that?
Good.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. And well, you know, timing is timing, and I got called back to duty this week, and I kind of had a free day all day long. I could spend time with you guys, except for the next half hour is when I have to be somewhere. So I'm going to give you the abridged version of what should be done by now from a men's perspective, and I can go deep on many different directions and fill your time with historical facts and stories, and that's what I'm good at, and that's what I do here at Chemawa Indian School. But I really don't mind giving other people time to talk at all. And what I want to share with you guys right now is that traditionally, culturally, this time of the year, you should have fully maintained your archery equipment. Just like the harpoons and the fish nets, that all should have been ready. And some people might think a hunter carried around one bow, and that was his bow. Oh, maybe he had a favorite bow, but there was something Hollywood didn't really put out there is a guy would have a couple of bows ready to go. And there was constantly bow making, and bow making was a regular task, especially in the summertime. In the wintertime, you would cut your bow wood, but in the summertime, you made your bow. And one thing that we did in the Northern Plains area here, and also something that was done by the Mongolians, the Chinese, the Egyptians, the Africans, is we sinew backed our bows, and we also made horn bows. And I've also seen documentation, read accounts where bows were also made out of bone when you start getting up into Canada and then along into Alaska. We also made bows out of antler. I never made a bighorn sheep bow because nowadays a set of bighorn sheep Horns are $5,000, and legally they have to have a plug in the ram horn. So I would have to buy one of the horns have to be plugged on a set. So I'd have to buy 2 sets. I'd have to spend $10,000 to make a bighorn bow, where I can use 2 pieces that don't have this plug in them that's required by game fish and parks. So as a Native American Indian bowyer, Euro-American culture has priced me out of practicing my culture. Well, 20 years ago, I kind of stopped making wooden bows. I didn't stop. I backed off and I began to feel confident in my foundation of bow making, and I went off into bison horn bows and elk antler bows where I can afford those materials. And I began to rediscover how those bows were made. So I'm a lifelong practicing bowyer. But some of the basic things that need to be put together for your bow making has to be cut in the winter. Otherwise, it'll be full of cracks. If you cut it in the summer, the sunlight will crack it up. Okay, and the sap will be into the lumber, and the sap will never really dry out, and it'll keep your bow from having a quick shooting effect. If it's cut in the summertime and you manage to make a bow out of it and you keep it from cracking, it'll never shoot fast because it's full of the pine sap or the tree sap. During butchering of bison throughout the summer times, when we had our traditional access to bison, we would be saving parts of the bison for making the glue. Hoof glue, hide glue, rabbit skin glue, rawhide glue, fish skin glue, fish bladder glue. It's all the same kind of glue. And our sinews. Oh, gotta go. Okay, guys. I'm getting the wave from my coworkers. I'm gonna have to go pretty soon. But the glues, there's a process to making the glues. Every time you're butchering, you're trying to process the sinew, preparing the sinew out of what would you on a person, it would be your Achilles tendon. But what do you call that on a bison? In Lakota, it's taka. The sinew off of a shoulder blade in a big animal, and the sinew off the spine in large animals. That's all processed for bow making. So what I have right here in front of me, this looks like the bark of a tree, but it's the animal sinew glued onto the back of the bow. And it's like Mother Nature's fiberglass backing and keeps the bow from breaking. And this is the fundamentals of how bows are made, especially with my tribe. And I teach bow making at Chemawa Indian School. The first one in my tribe to, except for the Dances with Wolves footage, I've actually taken a bison down with my own archery equipment, my own stone arrowheads that I made by hand, my choke cherry bush arrow shafts, and my eagle feather fletching, and my hide glue holding the arrowheads and the fletching on, and my bowstring made out of real buffalo sinew. Any sinew will work, but I've taken opportunity during this life to preserve our culture and move forward with adventures of learning by firsthand experience. And all that is separate from all the foods that should be dried by now. Things that were available early in the summer are not available now. You have to think about things that are coming up to get ready. Last chance gathering of traditional foods. It's way too late to get our wild onions. Choke cherries are ready now. You know, some things you got to wait till next spring. Acorns are just about ready. Our breadroot, our prairie tuber teamsula, you should have got that just before July out in South Dakota. So all these things are seasonal. They come and go. And I'm very lucky that a great spirit pointed me in that direction when I was a kid, gave me the curiosity to want to learn. And so I spent my life always having something to do besides drinking and smoking dope. I've been very busy, trying to learn as much as I can, and I'm 50 years old now. And now I get paid to teach kids what I learn. That's the cool part. You can be happy at your job if it's not a job. Yeah. All right. So I got to get back to my first aid CPR training right about now. You guys take care.
Thanks for sharing. That's wonderful.
We've got about a half an hour left for our allotted time. So again, I want to open the floor up to other panel members or participants that are with us.
I seen Ray was in here too. She's still here.
Yes, you see how still he is. He just
He's
holds.
very still. He's
He's
what we classify as a good Indian. He's
That's incredible.
knows the old way. Salmon rising against the dawn.
Ray, any thoughts for us? There he is. Yeah, he may be in a spot where he doesn't have a good signal either. So
He's just doing it again.
yeah, it's just showing off now.
Yeah.
Ray, if you're speaking, we're not hearing you, so you must be at a low spot there in your vehicle, or you're just wearing a new style of necktie. Oh, now he's dropped off. So again, we're talking about crafts, teaching, summer activities. Floor is open to share if any participants or panel members want to share.
Well, I had a couple of things. So, I wanted to give everybody else a chance to speak about crafting and making some things. Oh, Ray's back. Anytime you want to talk, if you did want to talk, Ray, you just interrupt me and I'll wait. But I wanted to speak about our crafting because I know that Marshall got on and he's talking about a napping that he had made for his arrows and chokecherry bush. So we typically would use our mountain cane, and our mountain cane's kind of like it's like a bamboo, but it's well, it's actually the family of our river cane, and river cane grows down where the river is, but mountain cane's much higher, higher altitudes, and it grows in shorter, more straight, I guess, shoots. And to straighten them out, we would build a fire and heat them up on the crooks, like our knuckles right here. They've got knuckles that we would heat up and we would bend, and it would straighten those stems out, so that we could have a straight, pretty easy arrow that wouldn't break very easily. And our sinew, when it hits blood, it soaks up that blood and it lets go of the arrow inside. So if you guys have ever worked with napping materials, we would trade for things like obsidian or volcanic black glass from North America or South America. It would be a year-long journey to go and get those things. And we're very good at, like I said, horticulture, being able to, I guess, farm the land and preserve our goods. So we'd take huge bushels on these massive barges from here, which is, on the eastern coast of North America, all the way down into South America. And we would get things like obsidian because it was much, much sharper and much cleaner of a cut than our chert or flint. And chert and flint are we break off bigger pieces of rock, and we usually have a shaping stone, which is a round stone for a river stone, and we would knock away the bigger pieces, and we'd take a deer antler and we would pressure flake on the sides of them to make our serrated edges. So when it came into an animal or person, which we typically did not use our bows for warfare, that was a more intimate process for us. It would be hand-to-hand combat with a single ball war club and a side knife. But our hunting was a different story. Most of the time, we didn't use a bow and arrow. We would either use a blowgun, which were one of very few tribes here in the eastern coast that actually did use blowguns. But ours were anywhere from 10 to 14 feet long, and a child would be getting reared to start hunting and bringing food home around the age of 4 or so. And all of our games that we had were to train someone to be efficient in their area. So Chunky Stone was our game that we would instruct our children to play, and that was a big stone with a circular hole in the middle of it that we had either napped out or knocked out with the back end of a deer antler, because it's really, really heavy, hard to break. And just like the deer antler was used to pressure flake, the back end of it we used like a hammer, and we'd knock out that piece. And so one person would roll that chunky stone, and we would run by it with our long shafts, and we would try to throw it in the center of those as we were going through. And this was one of the games to work up dexterity so that we could hunt and we could be more efficient in our practices of hunting and obtaining these kinds of things, such as food. But like I'd mentioned before, our main source of food was, from what I was told, 80% mushrooms, and that's immense. But it also speaks to how ingrained traditional cultures are in relying on the land and the gifts that the land give us, because it would provide our body with so much sustenance. And our main staple of food was turkeys, but all of those were obtained with a blowgun. And a dart is probably anywhere from a foot to 2 feet long, with Scottish thistle, purple thistle, or I guess just people just call them thistle, but they would be put in these binds, and we would be drying them. They're kind of active right now, but I think they're getting right at the end of their season. As summer is ending for us, you'll see purple tufts, sometimes with like a little bit of white, but it looks like a big old bowl, and it's got a lot of thorns of spiny pieces on the burrs. And we'd take those and put them in a drying rack, and we'd twine them up and hang them up so that they would dry out. So when we got the thistle out, or those seed pods on the inside of that pod, we would scrape away the seeds, and it would be this tuft, almost like fur, but it's so light that it would catch air really, really easily. And that's what we use for our darts. The wood that we use for our darts was yellow poplar or tulip poplar, one of the straightest growing trees that we have here. And one of the best qualities of this tulip poplar is that when you burn it, it fire hardens it. So you don't have to put anything extra on it. You just have to shape it sharpen it, and burn it, so that it's almost like I would give it the consistency of bone when you burn it, and it's super super light. So when it flies, it'll usually hit its target. When I was about 15, I gifted got gifted no, I think I was about 13. I got gifted my own professional blowgun with blow darts. And I was in the town of Silva, which is about 30 minutes from us, and I couldn't wait to use it. So I went outside of the restaurant that we were in, and I blew it up in the air, and it went so high up I thought I'd lost it. And I seen this huge tuft come down, and it stuck into the pavement. And that moment stuck with me from that time on, that, oh man, this is a toy, but it's not really a toy. This is something meant for use and practice. And so, as it is with all things, organic and made by man, especially from, the gifts of abundance of nature, it should be respected. And I think Marshall had given us that understanding beautifully, with how much care he's taken into building those things. And I just wanted to say, with our crafts, we would be ending up with our canoes at this time, and these are old growth trees, so anywhere from 30 to 60 feet long, and 5 to 8 feet wide. And we wouldn't have a oar, we would have a poling method, where we'd push off the side of the banks and the deep pools in our rivers. But I can't mention that without saying that we also had 5-man hand drills. And if you've never seen a hand drill, it's a vertical piece of, or horizontal piece of wood, and twine is put to a fulcrum on the inside, and a notch has been made at the top for that rope, and you twist it around, and the pressure from either side makes that center turn. So when you push down, the amount of weight that you push down is how fast that center piece goes. We would have a ballast stone underneath it, and underneath that is the tip, which we would have any length of drills that we would put on there, drill bits or drill heads. And we've uncovered or unearthed drill heads that are 4.5 feet wide. But we were using these for our home constructions and our council houses. And when Henry Timberlake came to our region, he had said that he thought that he was going into a mountain, because one of our council houses were so big, it just looked like the hills and the mountains around it. And he had no idea that there were thousands and thousands of people inside of this one house. And it was for our government, and for us to be meeting on what to do with things around us in the regions and cities around us. But he said that it looked exactly like the mountains, that there was grass on it, that things were already growing, and you couldn't tell it apart, like it wasn't differentiated from the landscape. And that was at Gadua, my Center Township fire. So I just wanted to reiterate how important it is to do things and learn from an experience base, if you can, from your elders, and if not, whatever you can do to learn from your own view of world perspective, because it's so rich in the lessons that it teaches you. And thank you guys. And I'd seen that Ray had commented, so I'm gonna back out of speaking for a second.
We'll open the floor again to panelists, or participants. Love to hear from you.
Is Ray available to talk?
He said he was having some trouble with his audio, but Ray, are you in a spot where you can unmute and share a little bit?
And Dave Natsaway's here too.
I did see Dave come in. Yeah, we'd love to hear from either of you guys, maybe on some Southwest regional summer, although it's summer down there a lot of time of the year. At least it feels like it.
And there's something telling me that Angela wanted to say something before, and Serena. I think those two might have something because they were active in the chats too.
And we'd love to hear from anyone. We've got about 15 minutes, so.
Yeah, I'll jump in here. So, you know, with learning the me not growing up here, at Laguna, at the Pueblo of Laguna, there's lots of things that I missed growing up. So when I retired from the Navy and did move home, my relatives, my brothers down there, they taught me a lot, and they continue to teach me, because it's just something that I wasn't around. So, right away taking me into the Kiva to get blessed and initiated. And then the beginning of the year ceremonies, the beginning of the year prayers that start, they took me in to the Kiva to make what they call the hutju money, the prayer sticks, the female male prayer bundles, and it's to pray to offer your prayers for the year, for the people, and for our mother, for the Katsunastrakini, the entities, that watch over us. And when you make the prayer sticks and you wrap them in the corn husk, and then there's things that go inside there, there's that everybody that makes their prayer bundle, they put you put your prayers in everybody's bundle, and you keep it for 4 days, and on that fourth day, then you take it to where you're going to offer your prayer. So they didn't necessarily tell me where to go, to offer, because everybody has a different place. Some of the people take it to where the old Laguna Pueblos used to be, where the old ruins are. Some people take them to Chaco, some people take them up to spin up Mount Taylor, but I like walking around the foothills of the Sandias. So I went around the backside and went all the way to the peak, to the top of the Sandias on the east side to offer my prayers to the east side. And it was so snowy up there. it was, I just started trudging through the forest, through the snow, you know. It was some places up to my waist, you know, but I just walked until I found my place that I was gonna make my offering and leave my bundle up there. So when I came back, like about a week later, there were ceremonies going on in Laguna, and one of my brothers, he asked me, he goes, "So where did you take your bundle?" And I go, "Up on the top of the Sandias on the east side." And you know, he smiled and he was very happy. And he said, "Good. That's a really, really good place to go." You know, and you know, I felt good about it because nobody told me where to go. You know, I just kind of had to feel it out for myself, you know. And along with making the prayer bundle itself, I had never done it before. You know, we're all in the kiva together, and we're all helping each other out. And they have the kiva leaders are in there as well, you know, offering their prayers as we make our bundles, you know. So so that, you know, that was a first for me, and that's one of the things that I know now, that I didn't know happens at the beginning of the year before all the ceremonies start, before the when they're coming out of the Christmas season, you know, and starting the new year. And the new year, they have and it's kind of associated with this, you know. Well, the Pueblos are associated with saints now, you know, through Catholicism. So it happens at that time. So right at the beginning of the new year, and there's they have the social dances from New Year's. I think it's the 3rd through the 6th, because the 6th being the end of the Christmas season, you know. And so they dance for 3 days, the social dances for 3 days. And then shortly after that, you know, they have the private ceremonies, and and then leads us into March, into the feast day, Laguna Feast, the Feast of Saint Joseph on March 19th. And I think that's the first feast of the year for all the Pueblos, I think. But and then, you know, everybody starts having their ceremonies. But just learning things like that, you know. And then talking with people from other Pueblos, you know. And it's interesting because right now it's baseball season, so, you know, we're umpiring for all the other Pueblos. And so I'm meeting all these guys from other Pueblos that I didn't know, and I'm surprised at how the traditions, the ceremonial traditions and stuff. We're just talking how things are the same, you know. And because they kind of have to schedule games sometimes around these ceremonies, you know, like they'll have to cancel games because some village or one of the Pueblos is having ceremonies, you know. So I get a lot of invitations to attend some of these. So some of these feasts that they have, I've never, you know, I'm going to for the first time, you know, and seeing how they do things, you know, and how they dress, and how, you know. So it's very interesting, you know. And it kind of brings, even though it's, you know, all within the Pueblo community, you know, it's kind of interesting, going back to what is it Miriam that was saying, how the cultures blend. You know, there's certain things that we all do around the world that, you know, there's a lot of similarities that we don't necessarily know about, you know. And so, you know, it's in this part of my life, in this journey, you know, I try to remain as open-minded as I can, especially, all through in my recovery. I'm way more open than I used to be. I was very opinionated, very closed off before. But now accepting, and just letting things happen the way they're supposed to happen, without interference, and let people be as they are, and I think that when you take it from that standpoint, that's when you discover all the similarities, so that's my take. So thank you.
Always good to have you on, Dave. Good to hear from you. I appreciate you. Well, we're approaching the top of the hour. I wanted to again just maybe see if Ray or anyone else wanted to comment before we start to conclude today's session. I really appreciate everybody staying on with us Friday afternoon, and it can be hard to set aside time for that. So I really have enjoyed. Gosh, I've just let this wash over me. It's just been wonderful to listen and to learn and be part of this event. So thank you everybody for staying with us throughout these sessions. It's been great. Grateful and honored to be part of that. So just some closing thoughts. I am going to post a link to a short questionnaire in the chat, and I think Jeff, if you have some closing thoughts or ideas, I know Jeff was going to try and take us out with a blessing, kind of finish things off in a good way. So I'll turn the floor back over to Jeff.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I'd like to say a few things, and yeah, I have gone out of my hometown, White Mountain, for a number of years, and I've traveled, and after I retired from the Army, I did return, and over the years, I realized that I can go away from home, but home's always going to be there. And while we were there, we were talking to some younger generation, and they mentioned that they would get homesick if they go on out for college or go on out for any technical training and be gone for 4 years or a couple of years. And my wife mentioned to one of the young people that home is always going to be there, and you can always come back. And that stuck with me for a long time. It made me realize, whether we didn't grow up at home, we can go to home and we can regather our roots. Our roots can be established. And if you already establish your roots at home, no matter if you're gone for 20 years or more, your roots will always be there. I also mentioned to my brother, I counseled him one time that, he was going through a tough time. And he's been in the city, for a good number of years, and I told him that he lost his ways. He lost his ways in life, and it's always good to come back to your roots and get to know our tradition, get to know our heritage, get to know our language, and that will re-strengthen your roots to continue on to live in the city, to where we don't know a lot of things. And so our roots at home is very strong. and it's like a tree to where it'll blossom. It'll go through winds. It'll go through storms. It'll also provide at a time or two. So knowing and relearning, revitalizing our home, wherever that may be, will always be there. And that's one grateful thing we can be thankful for.
Thank you so much, Jeff. I really appreciate that. And it's a great way to wind things down for this session. And as some of you know, we're concluding our grant cycle. Our center will the grant will end of next month. We have applied for another grant, and we hope to continue sessions and series like these in the future. So I'll be talking with this panel and others about maybe doing a fall series, talk about what happened in the fall, as we've alluded to during the summer sessions. Take care, everyone. Till next time, please stay safe, stay healthy, and stay connected. We'll see you again. So long.
Thank you. Bye.
Birarin, bye.
Bye-bye. Have a good week.